Hi, and welcome to this week's episode of Syrup Shots Gaming Podcast. As always, I'm Tyler, and with me today is Chris.
Woo!
Ooh, and Dave.
Woo? Why
Hey, we're a bunch.
woo?
Hey, I'd rather be a woo
We
boy
are
than a proud boy.
Okay.
we are
Boo.
wooing. Ooh.
Thank you guys for tuning in and listening. Every week we go over a different topic in gaming. Just hang out, have a good time. So before we get into this week's topic, is there anything in the news that you guys want to go over, or just funsies you want to talk about?
Well, nothing really in the news per se, but there is one thing that I wanted to talk about. I thought maybe we could make it like maybe like a reoccurring thing or like a monthly thing on the podcast. But listeners, I think we all, as gamers, have, of course, our gaming gripes. Now, most of the days, now the time, it always seems to be associated with um, microtransactions or a company doing something stupid. Like just this past week, Microsoft decided on something stupid and then promptly did an about face on said stupid thing. However, my gripe this week actually comes from my trip today to my local GameStop. And now I'm a game collector. Like I said on the last podcast, I have to have an app on my phone to keep track. And when I hit 2,000 games, we're going to have the biggest party. All right. No, I am planning that. When I hit 2,000, we will have a party. We'll have like a retro gaming party, and everyone's invited. But I'm not going to tell you when and where it is. Okay. So,
Dunch.
but my gripe was though, I went to GameStop today because, they're emailing me today to let me know it's Pro Day. And they're having a bunch of sales. It's buy two, get one free, used PS4 and Xbox One games. And so I go and I look around and I also buy a lot of collectibles because clearly I do. And but those were all on sale too. And I'm looking around and I'm not seeing anything that really trips my interest, except for one game. It's not even part of the sale. It's just listed on clearance actually. And as I've said before, I love just a good junky schmaltzy Japanese game every now and then. But I'm actually a big fan
Oh,
of the game Deadly Premonition, which is a cult classic on PlayStation 3. It's one of those you either love it or hate it. I love it. I love its plot, but I also love like Twin Peaks, which it is heavily inspired by. And it's also one of those things where it's kind of like the movie The Producers. They did everything wrong, but somehow it went right. All right. So it's one of those situations. Well, anyway, Nintendo got exclusive rights to the sequel that I never thought was going to come for the Switch.
oh.
And so that was the game that was on sale. It was listed clearance. It was half off. It was $30. And so I take it up there, and what was even better, it was cheaper to buy it new than used because of the clearance price. And so I take it up there now, and the guy was just first like, "We don't have this at all. We don't have it in stock." And part of me is getting a little argumentative because, well, wanting to get a little argumentative because, well, you have the game case here. Clearly, the game card must be somewhere. So someone did a boo boo. But that's not what bugged me. But this is also now, I've noticed this as a reoccurring pattern in all of the Game Stops now. And this was another thing as to why I didn't really find anything today. GameStop has started to restructure their stores. And I understand why they are doing this. I really do. But that doesn't mean I have to like it. So instead of having a section of PlayStation 4 games, and this section's the new section, this section's the used section, and you can easily go between the two. Now they just have one game case up in their PlayStation 4 section that has the price for new and the price for used. However, it is a crapshoot now if you pick that game up and take it up to the counter on whether or not they have it. They don't like
Mhm.
remove a price sticker or anything to let you know, oh, we're out of stock on the used copies, or vice versa with the new. So that led to my anger today because I couldn't really find really any deals I wanted to do because I don't know if we have used or new in stock because I can't just look and tell. I'd have to take like a bunch of games up there, and which I have done before because I run at my job. I run the school's video game club. Well, our hobby club that does video games, and I was trying to buy a couple of games for the school with this new system, and I keep taking them up there, and they're like, "Oh, I'm sorry, we don't have that. We don't have that," or "We only have new." And I didn't want to buy new because they had a buy two get one free deal, and I'm trying to maximize, the school's bang for its buck. So, it just I find it so annoying that I can't even look at the shelf to see what you have in stock anymore. I just, or if it's the version I want or if it's not. It's so stupid when we had a system that worked. And I understand they're trying to use less space because with PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X out now, really, they aren't even backwards compatible. They just play the games and even like have a boost in performance on those. So, they're made for those games as well as the systems made specifically for the hardware. So I understand that they're probably going to have them, both in like the same spot and taking up space. And it might eventually get back to normal in about like, when we finally start phasing out all the PS4 and Xbox One games. But the way I'm looking at it, that's still like a year and a half to 2 years away. And instead, we've got this this system where it's basically 50-50 if you actually have what I want in stock at all, or if I can use it for the deal. So it's like if I want to do buy two get one free, well, I might take 3 boxes up there, and I might get told, oh, we only have two of these new, and one of them's used, and I'm like, I hate you. That was so stupid. I don't know what they could do better, but because they had a good system already, I just want them like you fixed something that wasn't broken.
So, Dave, let me ask you this here, just kind of listening to your
Yes,
explanation. Do you think part of it doesn't have to do with the new consoles and maybe just a restructuring to be less crowded with COVID?
that could be it too. I did think about that because they are trying to maximize their space. And who knows, maybe after all this craziness is over, they will go back to that system. But I would argue, though, that that is less hygienic because, or less, it's more work intensive because if I'm touching all these game cases to go up and say, I
Mm,
want these games, and then they're like, oh, we don't have these, you know, I could be nice and put them back on the shelf, or then that person's going to have to put them back on their shelf, or wipe them down, then put them back on the shelf. So what we have now is like a lot of people touching things that didn't necessarily need to be touched.
gotcha.
Yeah.
So that's my argument for it.
So, question for you. Did this change happen? When did this happen? Did this happen recently or happen last year? Because I know that like before COVID happened, GameStop was in trouble. But now
Hmm.
that COVID's happened, GameStop's actually making money, believe it
Yeah,
or
and
not.
especially with the new console stuff. Which, on the one
Yep.
hand, I know GameStop can be scummy at times, but if you play the system or the game with them a bit, you can get some good deals. And especially if you're a collector like me and like collectibles and stuff, they're always putting that stuff on deep discounts. So, like, I was able to get all of like the Overwatch Ultimate figures for. I never paid full retail for them, which was nice.
Nice.
But Chris, I totally forgot what your question was. my,
The,
my,
que- the question was, did this happen recently in
oh,
2021 or did this change happen last year in 2020?
it happened in 2020. I would say shortly before Thanksgiving.
Okay.
because that's when they had it was like one of those pre-Black Friday sales, and I
Mm.
went to the store. Now the school was gifted a very nice gift from the local police department of two Xbox Ones, but we only had one game between the two of them. But they also
Oh,
included a very nice, yeah, one copy of Overwatch, two Xbox. But
that's that's
they did
funny.
include a two gift cards. One like a $200 gift card to GameStop, the other for Walmart. So I took the GameStop gift
Oh.
card to pick up some games for it, and like the students were telling me, hey, we would love Injustice 2. We want Jump Force. We would love another copy of Overwatch, so we actually could play, against each other or with each other. So, and I'm trying to get those used so that way I can also be like, okay, we can buy one, get one free, and we can extend that GameStop gift card gift a
Yeah.
bit longer than we could, so that way things aren't coming out of like my pocket, or we're not like
Oh
having the
yeah.
hobby club bake sale,
Yeah.
for video game. Well, what's this bake sale for? You getting uniforms for the band? No, we're getting video games for the hobby club.
Yeah. No, you can get some pretty good deals from GameStop. It
Mhm.
was probably over a year ago now at this point, but I bought a couple of games that I kind of missed just because, life happens. They were older games. They had a sale of buy two, get one free. And I think I walked out of there with 3 games for $30. I mean,
Mhm.
that's a
Yeah.
great deal, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, and then sometimes it's just like the little stuff that you get, and like I remember like for some reason I never picked up Final Fantasy 13, and
Mm-hmm.
then lo and behold, it was $5 at GameStop.
Yeah.
Why, yes, I will spend $5 on this. I would have spent more on this, but since you're offering it for $5, I'll gladly take it. So that is my gaming gripe of the week. Just because it happened today, I was looking forward to spending time with Special Agent Francis York Morgan, but unfortunately that didn't happen. So Amazon had to come to the rescue.
Yeah.
Mm.
Also, listeners, our good buddy James has also joined the podcast today. Say hi, James.
Hello.
Right. Well, before we get into our main topic of the week,
Sorry
does
for
there?
being late.
World understands you have kids, which means you have no life.
Yeah, you have two good excuses.
Uh,
What is it? The 4-year-old and how old's the youngest
almost one.
Oh
now?
wow. Keep you on
Mm,
your toes.
yep. Is he
Yeah.
mobile? Is he walking?
He crawls.
Uh, he's
Does
And
he?
I
mobile.
thought object permanence wasn't a thing yet, but oh, it's a thing. Like he remembers where the places he's not supposed to go are.
Ah,
He just crawls right to them.
So, worse, he's clever.
uh,
Yeah.
now, James, I do have a question for you. This was on Reddit this week.
Hmm.
A gentleman had to get rather inventive because, and I finally just realized after looking at this picture for a while why he had to do this. But he covered his Xbox One in like a bolted down, like mesh, like paper filing cage or something. He like
Nice.
literally had to put his, and I see the picture is of a toddler trying to push the bright white Xbox One power button through the mesh.
no.
And then I started thinking, why, yes, a toddler's favorite thing to do is push buttons. And God help you if you get in the way of said activity. Have you encountered that ever?
I keep it up high.
Oh,
So they can't reach it.
oh, you're mean, Daddy. I got you.
Yeah.
You're smart.
No cage. Just
Mm.
keep it up high. I'm 6'2", my wife's 5'10". We can reach things a lot better than the little ones
Oh
can.
yeah. Okay. At least until they start climbing, I take it.
Yeah. And the 4-year-old is really good with bringing stools to wherever she needs to go.
Clever girl.
Nice.
But my PlayStation 4 actually serves as a Disney Plus
Oh,
and Amazon streaming product more than it does an actual PlayStation 4.
I gotcha.
Uh,
I'm assuming for the 4-year-old, more than
yes,
likely.
for kids shows. Although I did manage to watch The Mandalorian
Nice.
all
Nice.
seasons.
Oh,
which,
Mando.
Complete side note
was
to
good.
gaming: watch WandaVision. So good.
All right.
I watched the first 2 episodes. It's good television. I'm enjoying it thus far.
Third cranks it up.
I went to House of M. I would love to see that when I get a chance.
I haven't watched it yet. I actually don't have Disney Plus,
Do you have any
but
friends or
I'm
family
thinking
that do?
I do. But I want to be able. What I think I'm going to do is do actually what Chris's family does. You know, each member of the family pays for one service, and they all share the passwords. But
Mm-hmm.
I think what
Yep.
I might do then is actually I might pay for HBO Max and
Mm.
then share that with my parents, and in exchange maybe get Disney Plus from them. So,
That's
but I also want to see because I'm a weird individual. I like the DCEU movies and I want to see them. So I want to see the full extended Justice League and I want to see Wonder Woman 84.
Ah.
I liked Shazam. And I want to see Mortal Kombat and Godzilla versus Kong. I want to see
oh
those two.
yes, yes.
Mhm. Yeah, especially Godzilla versus Kong because I love the monster verse that they've been making so far. Hmm.
Very nice. Well, gentlemen, let's
Have
go
we
ahead and
gone over
get.
the main topic?
We have
Not
not.
yet.
I was about
Sorry.
to. No, you're good. I was gonna say let's go ahead and jump into the main
All right.
topic. So the main topic this week was what would be your perfect match made in heaven or whatever realm you believe in of developer, publisher, and IP, intellectual property. So who is really excited about one of theirs that wants to go first?
Hmm. I could just pick randomly. I don't know if
Well, you know
anyone's
what? Well, you know what? I'll go ahead and give one of mine first, and it's one I
all
did
right.
not tell you guys about yet.
Okay.
Oh.
So here's my gaming gripe: is Capcom has been on a roll recently. They've
Yeah.
nailed their Resident Evil games. They have
Hmm.
nailed Monster Hunter. They have finally made that the international hit it's been born to be.
Hmm.
They have dropped the ball in their fighting games. They have dropped the
Mm.
ball so hard.
Hmm.
So, in my perfect universe, Arc System Works would make the next Marvel vs. Capcom game.
Ooh.
Ooh.
I mean,
Hmm.
their work on Dragon Ball Fighter Z proved they can make the 3v3 system work flawlessly and take animated characters and make it look just like the animation on TV.
Hmm. That's a good one. No, that would really fit their style that they've already, you know, set out and have done before already. And they also have experience doing crazy crossover fighters like
Hmm.
Blaze Blue Cross Tag
Yep.
tournament,
Bringing
which
in
was
Ruby, Persona, Blaze Blue
yeah,
series. Yeah.
Arcana Heart, got a few mores, just a lot of different silly stuff, and it was so well done. Now that'd be a good one. I didn't really play a whole lot of Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. I kept hearing all the bad news. Can you update me on?
So here's the biggest problem with Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite.
Hmm.
It looks bland, so instead of going with the comic book style like Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 had, it
Yeah.
went for a very generic, oh, this is high definition look. It's slower.
Oh, really?
It's only 2v2.
Oh.
Um, and they have 0 X-Men fighting characters in it.
Yeah,
Oh.
that was always the biggest thing I'd heard about that game was that because it was during the kind of Disney dispute and not really wanting to, and it happened in other Marvel areas like in the comics, right, where they really
Well,
stopped pushing the X-Men,
and the
right?
Fantastic Four. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yep, because they were like, well, it's all about the movies now, and we don't have the
Hmm.
rights. ironically, they now
I
have
get.
them. So
I do recall the style visuals being. You're right. Like Marvel vs. Capcom 3 had a really nice, kind of semi comic booky anime style where it had like the thick black lines, the
Hmm.
semi cel shaded look. It did look
When
like
you
a game.
did when you did with the combos, it always came up in this like comic book font,
Mhm.
like marvelous, fantastic.
Oh yeah. So really, they lost a lot of style, I would say, with this iteration.
So it lost style, but more importantly than that, it lost momentum. It was so slow. It was such a slow fighting game.
Okay.
And they put a very heavy emphasis on a system with the Infinity Stones. So you would choose your two characters, and then you would choose an Infinity Stone to activate at some point in the match to like slow down your opponent or do extra damage or whatever.
So like built-in buffs and nerfs.
Yes, that you could activate after a
Oh,
meter filled up,
huh.
Mm. Were
which is
Sounds
they
like
were
they.
they hoping it was going to be like more, I don't know, methodical, like more of a thinking man's fighting game, so to speak?
I think that was the theory, but that's what Street Fighter's been great for. Street Fighter's has always
Mhm.
been the more methodical, footsie style fighting game.
Mm-hmm.
Marvel vs. Capcom has been the crazy town
What?
banana pants. Oh
I
yes.
would argue
You
with
just
you.
take the Blanca and make the electricity. That's Street Fighter.
I would say I would feel Tekken and Virtua Fighter are the more footsie methodical ones.
Well, let me rephrase that. The
Hmm.
Street Fighter is the more footsie methodical one of the 2D plane fighters.
Yeah, yeah. For 3D fighters, yeah, I would agree
Yeah.
with you, Dave, for sure. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, no. Marvel
Uh,
vs. Capcom was always
so-
supposed to be more
oh
pizzazz,
yes,
more it's
Well,
supposed to be
it's in
fast
your
and fun.
face. It's
it's
fun.
supposed to be an
Yeah.
explosion for the eyeball. Now, this Infinity Zone system sounds almost like the failed gem system from Street Fighter Cross Tekken, which that was a game that was supposed to go places, hopefully, because it was finally two major fighting for. But then they pooped the bed with having on disc DLC, and then this gem system, which they were originally going to try and pitch and make as DLC. And these gems were basically like buffs and that you could apply to your fighter, or nerfs that you could activate against the opponent. Is this the same thing?
It's similar there, but I'm trying to remember all the different ones there. So like
Okay,
one of
now
them,
I get where the complaints are coming. That's like doubling down on a bad idea.
well,
At
and
least in Cross Tekken, you could shut that. You just didn't have to play with that system.
and viewers don't crucify me if I get this wrong here, but I believe it was the Space Stone that would confine you to a space where you couldn't get out of things, where you couldn't. It kind of like a cage that were stuck in the fighting.
Uh,
So it's not just not buffs and nerfs; it fundamentally broke the rhythm of the game.
so it could literally break the rules of the game. I
Yeah,
get you.
Oh, it sounds like it's a, yeah, it just kind of breaks the game actually, right? Makes it
Now,
yeah.
not
now sometimes that's a
fun.
little fun. Like they did it well with Mortal Kombat 11 with Geras, who could, since he controlled the sands of time, he could literally attack the timer in the game. But
Well,
that's one thing, and
Yeah,
it kind of fits with his character. But still, no,
this
I get
is
what you're
every team
saying.
up. Yeah,
Yeah, it pooped the bed. Got it.
it pooped the bed hard.
Long and hard.
Ugh.
All right, all right. No, but I think that would be a great idea because Arc System Works are always like visually spectacular and
Uh,
fast paced.
so, side note here: has anyone seen any of the trailers for the new Guilty Gear Strive coming out this year?
No.
No, no, I have not.
You need to go
no.
look that up. It is breathtaking how visually amazing that game looks. And that's also a game that I feel is a sleeping series for fighting games that more people need to pay attention to.
Yeah, yeah. No, that one was always a fun one to play at your house. Actually, we'd play that a number of times.
I actually have it on my Switch now. Guilty Gear
Nice.
XR Rev. No,
That's one
Arc
thing I'm
sign.
not going
Yeah,
to miss from that series, though, is their stupid
naming. Yeah,
the naming conventions that are even worse than Microsoft's. How
yeah.
do you
Oh,
pronounce
jeez.
RP? Sherd?
Xrd, Xrd,
Xerd.
Oh.
Okay.
Xrd. Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, to jump on that gamer gripe that we were talking about before. Did you guys hear about the interview of was it the director of like A Way Out and some of those other like smaller EA original titles,
Oh,
basically
the
trashing the Xbox naming conventions? It was pretty entertaining.
I did not see that.
I have not seen that, but I agree wholeheartedly. Xbox, Xbox 360, Xbox One, Xbox Series X.
Xbox Series S, right? Like
Mhm.
I- short purposes, I will just refer to it as the Xbox Series whatever, right?
Yeah.
I mean, PlayStation 5, I mean, it's unoriginal, but at least you know
Straightforward.
where you are.
You know what it is. I don't think
Yeah.
it's
The
any
next
surprise
generation
that,
is
that
Xbox.
Mhm.
Next
what's that,
Xbox
James?
name. I'm sorry.
What did you say?
Yeah, just generation after this, Xbox. Generation after that, Xbox.
Oh my.
And that's
You know
what
what?
it
The next
There you
Xbox.
go.
Super Saiyan
Yeah.
God, Super Saiyan Xbox.
No.
Yeah. It is confusing though, and I don't think
Mhm.
it's any surprise that for whatever reason, when the Xbox Series X and S launched, that the numbers spiked for the Xbox Ones. Because
Mhm.
Mhm.
I think there was
Yeah.
so many confused consumers going,
Yeah.
I'm getting the new Xbox. And they found, oh, hey, here's an Xbox. Let's buy this, right?
And I used
Whoops.
to whine about that because it's just like, how could you not know the difference? Back when the Wii and when the Wii U launched, I'm like, well, and now I'm just realizing that it's just kind of like, oh yeah, that was a really stupid idea. Why don't you just call it the Wii 2 or the Super Wii even?
Well, and
Mhm.
that really bit Nintendo in the ass, just
Oh
that
yeah.
naming convention, because
Mhm.
there was plenty of people who, we're really not in that crowd necessarily, right? We're hardcore gamers, right?
Oh
We
yeah.
we we follow this stuff because we're really
barely.
into the hobby, right?
Yeah.
But the average consumer out there, like, why would I buy a Wii U? I have a Wii.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Like when I was in the store one time, and the kid was just like, "Oh, mommy, we want to get the Wii U." That's just an add-on for the Wii. We're not getting that. And I'm just like, and at the time, me being the hardcore gamer, just went ah. But now me as getting into being the older cranky collector, it's just kind of like Nintendo. What the heck?
Yeah.
That was so stupid.
Yeah.
Oh well, we got the Switch out of it, which chef kiss, mwah, love.
The
Yes.
the Switch really
Yes.
is what I think Nintendo wanted the Wii U to be. I
Oh yeah.
really do think that.
hmm
Mhm.
I just don't think they wanted to give up the 3DS so
As
quickly. Yeah.
Yeah.
hmm
Yeah.
It's really worked out
I
for us fans though, because now we get so much more output from the Nintendo
Mhm.
developers, right?
hmm
well, and I can play it a lot more because I it's the handheld that's kind of really powerful and tries to be a console as well.
hmm
I remember when
Mhm.
Tyler showed me the video, and I was laughing until they showed it on an airplane. And at that very second, I realized Nintendo has my money. It's just a matter of time until
Yeah,
the transaction takes place.
I would.
Because I used to play a lot more.
hmm
Yeah, so I'll admit, right here's a point of humility for me here, but I was one of the idiots out there who's like, well, it's just a tablet, right?
hmm
And then, Breath of Wild came out, and then I ended up buying one anyways a couple months later. I
hmm
just couldn't help myself, and I don't regret my purchase. It's been a
Oh
great,
no.
great little machine.
Oh,
Yep.
it's been
Yep.
magnificent.
Yep.
Mhm.
Although, speaking of flying, here's a good story for tonight. I got to travel with someone I was teaching the ropes to, and I had Mario Kart because that is awesome. If you ever have to fly, I highly recommend playing Mario Kart with someone, maybe getting an adult beverage. It doesn't even feel like you're flying after that. It just feels like you're sitting there playing a game. It is magnificent. Well, we both happened to be doing that, and he got behind because I may have shelled his butt to oblivion. And so when you're behind, you get the really good items. So he got a bomb. We are 30,000 feet up in the air. Oh yes, you know where this is going.
Oh no!
Oh yes. So he started taunting me, sitting right next to me, saying, "I've got a bomb. I've got a bomb."
Oh.
And I quickly shouted, "Yes, you've got a bomb because we are playing Mario Kart after the race." Because I had to win the race first because I have my priorities. After the race, I turned to him and said, "Do you realize what you said? Do you realize where you are?"
So no stewardess came up and was like, excuse me?
You're fine.
Oh my goodness.
You're fine.
The air marshal
It
and
may
first
have
man would like to talk to
do
you.
with the dark skin, but we were fine. No one bothered us. Thank goodness.
Well, no, of course not. They thought you had a bomb. These guys are crazy. They're going to blow the place
That guy had a bomb.
up. Okay.
Oh.
Okay. Let's return to on topic time, I
Yes.
think.
Yes.
Tyler, were you are we doing two
Well,
each or
let's go through our first round first, and then we'll go through a second round, and if there is a third round, just depending on timing and whatnot.
okay, okay. Well, we might revisit more silly stories considering what James just told. I've got a couple gaming silly stories too. But if okay, so I thought I have two. Um, the first one, though, I guess is the one I really want, and this actually went around as a rumor on the internet a couple years ago. And when I heard it, I was just like, "Why is this not a thing?" But what I would love to see happen, because I really feel that we haven't gotten a good game with these guys since Super Nintendo days, actually. But I would love to see Rocksteady do a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game.
Ooh.
So the Batman Arkham people doing TMNT. Now, and
Would
the
you?
reason. Oh, I'm sorry.
No. Go ahead. I'll ask the question when you're ready.
Okay, now because I really like how the Arkham games are structured. One of the things I really like about them too is also they try and incorporate a good number of characters into the plot as side missions, and there is a diverse cast of Turtles characters from all different medias that they could pull from to do the same thing. If I were them, though, I would not choose a set like canon or set version of the Turtles. I would do like they did with Batman and kind of make their own. And but then they could pull from everywhere, and it's just like, oh well, it's this version of like. So if they wanted to have the Krang in there, well, they could do it as just the one alien, or they could do it as the race of aliens like they did in 2012. Either or is fine. They could have the Shredder, but then you could have the main crew. You could have like Shredder, Bebop, and Rocksteady as kind of like the main bad guys. But then you could get like side characters in there like oh man, why is his name eluding me right now? But like you could get like
Well, of course,
Dirtbag and
they'd have
Ground
to have
Chuck.
Rocksteady.
What?
Of course, they'd have to have Rocksteady in there.
Oh yeah.
Rat
Rocksteady,
Rat
'cause
King.
yeah.
Oh, the Rat King would be great. Dirtbag and Ground Chuck were the second set of mutants that Shredder tried to create that rebelled against him. That would be like a fun duo to have.
Slash.
Slash would be great. A metalhead malfunction or something, and you got to go after him. Leatherhead, and with Leatherhead, because he's been depicted as both more often a ally as opposed to a villain, but you could do either or. Um, God, why can't I remember his name? The Bat Alien, with the mosquito sidekick. That's I'm gonna kick myself once I hold on. That is bugging the living crap out of me because I love that action figure. Listeners, for those of you who don't know, I also collect toys. It's an addiction, but I have a complete set of original 85 animation Turtles characters, like all of them. So hold on, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Bat.
And of course, I'd have to have the very catchy Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle song in the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, question with this idea of yours, Dave, would you want the Rocksteady to move forward with having like one of the turtles as the main character, and then like you play as the other characters during specific side missions, or would you want them to go kind of more of a like you go
Wingnut.
there you
Sorry,
go. That's
Wingnut.
fine.
Wingnut and Screwloose. Yeah, Wingnut was the bat alien, and Screwloose was the mosquito. And in the comics, I don't know what it was, but the biology of Wingnut allowed it so he couldn't sleep until Screwloose, the mosquito alien, took like a big hit off of his blood, and I guess put him in like a coma so he could fall asleep. Okay, I'm sorry. So you were asking, would I want them to focus on a single turtle or allow you to
All of
play?
them. But
Okay.
play whoever, right? You pick your turtle and you play the game as that turtle.
I'm kind of actually waiting because even though it's not a Batman Arkham game, Rocksteady is continuing the Arkham storyline with their new Suicide Squad game. And that's going to have multiple characters and allow for multiplayer. I'm kind of wanting to see how that goes, but I could easily seeing that be kind of like a thing you could do with this, and maybe each person plays as a different turtle. But I also have seen the system though, ever since the NES days, where you know you can pick the turtle that you choose, and then at any point you can drop into like a character change, like, or you can maybe you drop in like a sewer lid, and then you pick your new turtle and then pop back up. So like you're playing as Leo, jump down in the sewer, pop back up, you're Michelangelo. And Platinum Games did a Turtles game not too terrible long ago. It wasn't terrible, but it wasn't great either. It was just middle of the road. They had some good ideas, they had some terrible ideas, but you could change your turtle at the drop of a hat at any time. And I'm pretty sure the other four would follow you around, but they might not have been the best of AI partners. But so there's also that possibility as well. Or maybe you do it like as two teams, like how in the Arkham games, you'll like encounter a situation where you're fighting with Catwoman or with Nightwing, and but then you can do like team up attacks, and then you can switch between the two at those points. There's that possibility. So the only other things I'm thinking about with this though is also Rocksteady has shown pretty good at making open world city environments that feel unique.
Sure.
And the only thing I guess I would consider maybe troublesome is Batman Arkham got really good at getting Batman vertical very quickly, which aside from like a few like crazy ninja moves, the turtles are not as quick on and can't fly either. So That would be
Nope.
one thing.
And no grappling guns or anything like that. Yeah.
Yeah, they got the grappling hooks, but that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've got a couple questions for you here. So
Yeah, what's up?
first question would be, would you want it to be open world like Arkham City or Arkham Knight, or would you prefer it to be more Metroidvania-ish as like Arkham Asylum was?
It would depend on the story, I would say.
Okay.
Um, I mean, because with Turtles, it's New York, but we've had that depicted so much in games that they
Yeah.
definitely could, do something new and different and make it like its own kind of area. Like, they could take it to Dimension X, and that they could have a lot of fun and be very original with that. That hasn't been explored too much in the media, but I mean, New York is New York. You hear about it, you punch images on the computer, you're going to get like the same images, the same buildings, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's an iconic city. It's just, you know, they could have a little fun with it, I would hope, and maybe do like a different kind of art style. But at the end of the day, it's going to be like very eerily similar to the one that we like saw in Insomniac's excellent Spider-Man game. So
Which actually is a good segue to my second question here.
mhm.
Would you imagine it would have stealth side missions where you couldn't attack using April O'Neil, kind of like they use Mary Jane in the Spider-Man game?
I could easily see that being shoehorned in because they've done it with so many other games.
Would that be
Now, what
something
would
you
be
would want?
really cool though is that if they gave you an option though, at some point though, you know how in certain games they'll give you the option to play as like a boss character and you just own everything.
Hmm.
If you
Yeah.
could play as Master Splinter and do that, because he's older, he's wizened, he doesn't need all of the flips and everything. He could just take you, like free point palm, exploding heart technique, boom, 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 dead. Just I want to see that would be great. To play as Master Splinter and just be able to like in like a room full of Foot Clan. You put Master Splinter in there. The thing is, you're not locked in here with me. I'm locked in here with you.
Maybe have Master Spinners like a meter build that you build up with combos.
Oh, that'd be cool. I wouldn't want him to be like Mickey from Kingdom Hearts 2, though. Like a meter build, or oh, you screwed up
Oh.
on this boss fight. Let's let King Mickey come save you.
No, I would see it more as something you would have to earn, and then
Mm.
you could choose when to use, or if you get beat up too much, he doesn't show up.
Well, if we're not careful, we're going to give him the idea, and they'll make it DLC.
Fair enough. That's a great
Yeah, but
concept.
that was idea number one.
All right, Chris or James?
I'll go next. Why not? All right. So this is first idea. I brought props, right? So
Ooh.
I guess first thing I'll lead this in, right? So this was an interesting topic. Interesting in the fact that we've actually had quite a bit of licensed games, good licensed games recently. Um, so with even what we were talking just a second ago about with the Insomniac Spider-Man. So I took the idea and went in a different direction. So I thought, what are some properties, not necessarily, um, that's something that's been done before. I went, hey, I really like a book series called The Dark Tower. What if the makers of Red Dead Redemption made a really weird Western? And I would actually like them to do it how they did it in the comic book series. So yeah, I guess here I'll show my props. So I would like them to start with the Wizard and Glass, which is actually the beginning of the story, where it starts with Roland, and it's in this very high fantasy world, right, where he's a gunslinger and he's a member of this kind of almost like chivalrous knight society, and his story is, I mean, I guess spoilers for a book that's been out forever, is about the fall of the great civilization. Um, and start from there. It'd be a nice big open world game, something that Rockstar is certainly very good at making. It would still be a Western, just be weird, right? It's it's a Stephen King book. And here is the very first comic book that they made, right? So you get a nice picture of what at least they imagined Roland.
Mm-hmm. I think that could be very interesting. I would actually love to see what Rockstar has to bring to more of like a fantasy setting, because we have seen them do really nothing but exaggerated realism. And the only time they seem to step out of that bubble was with the first Red Dead Redemption game.
Undead Nightmare.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
And even that, because then we started having fun. I'm sorry?
Which was good.
Yes, it was.
Oh yes.
I like
Mhm.
Great. I loved it. But I wish they would do that more, because it was like an experiment to me, is what it seemed, that I felt they did really well at. But you know, I don't honestly, I don't care for the Grand Theft Auto games. I'm sorry, unpopular opinion. But just first, I'm not that kind of person that just, I don't find necessarily all the joy in just being that much of a jerk or a mass murderer, you know. And some of the things that people would do to try and sell me on this game. Oh, well, you could hire a prostitute and run her over and steal the money you just gave her. And I'm like, that's freaking terrible. Dang
Yeah.
it. Yeah,
The biggest thing that you can say for Grand Theft Auto is it is certainly a very big sandbox, and it's like a game of games, right? Like there's
mhm,
different things that you can do inside of the game. I've never really clung to it because I don't know, the stories never really got me, right? I was like, I really
mhm.
don't care about any of this like high crime drama stuff.
I got to be in the
And
right mood for it.
yeah, I like that for like movies and television shows, but I don't know if I really want to sink like hours and hours into a video game where I'm a crook, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want that like slice of life.
Mm-hmm.
But in addition to that, like when I have played it to just like screw around, like I eventually just get bored because it's like a playground, right? Like it's really
Mm-hmm.
fun in the moment, and then you're like, what am I doing here, right?
Mm-hmm.
I
See,
could
when
be
I
doing
have games like that, I always prefer to have like superpowers. I'd want to be able to do something I could never, something that I absolutely could not do. I mean, Grand Theft Auto, yeah, you can do things you do
well,
things you're not supposed to do,
right.
but
It's the criminal fantasy, right?
yeah, but whereas
Do a ton of stuff and then walk out of a hospital
yeah,
after they
yeah,
take you down.
whereas
Yeah.
in like I think one of the best open world sandbox style games though that just gave me so many superpowers though, and it literally made you a monster, and it just was just like, oh, I am the most powerful prototype. I know it wasn't the most well received game, but it was the one that just it was the first one that made me feel maniacal. I could run up this building and shoot my arm out like 7 feet, 700 feet, and grab a helicopter out of the air
Yeah.
and do it again.
I know that was a fun game.
Hmm.
But it was just kind of like dumb fun, right?
Hmm.
Which is what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know enough about the Dark Tower, but are there any like big creatures or fictional monster or anything that would make like like differentiate enemy types and stuff?
Yeah, so basically it's almost a cheater, right? Because
Hmm.
Dark Tower actually includes all of Stephen King's works, right? It's all of his worlds kind of combined.
Oh,
Uh
so
yeah.
like
There
all of them?
it's a multiverse,
So
Okay.
literally.
like it, Christine.
So
Yep.
so like if they wanted to, like a DLC, could be, like go hunt Pennywise.
You could. I mean, it's you could farm it for that, right? It's
Hmm.
all of the worlds are connected. I mean, it's not necessarily part of Roland's story, but it's a video game, right?
Hmm. I got you. I'm just imagining the car from Christine. You chase after it.
Uh, yeah, and I think it'd be a good place for it. I don't think I'm ever gonna get like my like HBO series for the Dark Tower, which I think if they were ever to do it on film, that's what I would really want. It would have to be something that's done with high production value.
Hmm.
Making a movie, which they did, which
I was
was a
gonna say,
terrible
didn't it
movie.
star Idris Elba?
Yeah, the cast was fine. It, that wasn't the problem of the movie. The problem of the movie is they tried. I mean, the the book series is 7 books, right? I mean,
And they
they
didn't take the Harry Potter approach, I take it.
no,
Oh,
Gotcha.
and not to mention the fact that they took some liberties with the actual plot, but
Mm, I gotcha.
it's one of those movies like as a fan like it pissed me off, but like
Mm.
watching it with my wife with she's like, oh, this is pretty good. It's like, don't talk to me, I need a moment.
I am obligated to keep loving you, but be quiet.
uh,
Oh, funny. All right.
James?
All right. Mine might sound weird, but I stand by it. The Golden Age Green Lantern by the team that made Scribblenauts. The reason being,
that's an interesting
all right,
choice.
Okay. Okay.
Green Lantern has not been done justice. Pun is accidental, not intended, with any video game that he's been in.
Okay.
It's always a few rote things that he can do that were developed by the video game designers. The thing about Green Lantern is he is restricted by his willpower and by his imagination. Like, the ring can do a lot of freaking stuff, which is why I thought Scribblenauts. Because with that, you could just like type in something and it was there. Now, the ring power would be the limiter, but I really like the idea of just being able to develop like my own things to move around with the ring. Like, basically, just here is a 1950s setting. Wood will mess your stuff up,
Okay.
and you can almost like develop little maneuvers that your ring can do outside of combat, and then you can deploy those things to do like precisely what you want it to
Hmm.
in combat. And it'd be very much sandbox, very much you can beat this a lot of different ways, but it's really just how do you want the ring to do things? I mean, do you want a shark to pop out? Do you want a Sharknado to pop out? And as you level up, the ring could be more forceful, but like any ability you want um, is really just built up by your own imagination or people's on the internet's imagination as time goes by. But I chose the Golden Age because that's where the wood weakness comes in, which I felt was a little bit more like 1950s. There's a lot of wood around still then.
Mhm. I got
So you have to like be cognizant of all of that around.
So, out of curiosity, with this game, do you imagine it more of a combat game or more of it like a puzzle game, kind of like the Scribblenauts games?
Kind of both. Like out of combat, you can build these things and then go into combat.
How
Heck, you could even have a multiplayer where you would have where you'd be the Green Lantern. The opponent would just be Sinestro or something like that. Although the person you would be fighting against would see themselves as Green Lantern and you as Sinestro. And you could have your preset ring attacks go up against each other, see who'd win.
Okay.
I mean, it'd really just be
How
whatever you could imagine.
how would combat work though? So if you can make what your ring create whatever, like
Mhm.
I mean,
It's
just
got a
based.
battery.
Okay,
It's
interesting.
got a battery. It's got a strength.
Now,
So
Um,
would it be one of those things like you can only summon so many things at a time?
yeah. I mean, you could have a certain like dimension or like breadth of the beam versus the force of the beam. The bigger the object is, the weaker it'd be.
okay.
Um, yeah.
Okay. I'm just trying to think because that is my Green Lantern shelf right there, and there is my lantern
Okay.
battery. I'm just.
Yeah.
I think you're mixing your continuities because the Golden Age Green Lantern was Alan Scott, and I
Yeah.
didn't.
I
I
am a
didn't.
little bit.
I didn't think he could make constructs. I thought he just had the green flame. He had the ring, but you're also adding in Sinestro. So, I mean, you could still have the weakness if you decided to do Silver Age Hal Jordan before when everything yellow was a
Mhm.
weakness.
I think I
Yeah.
was going for Silver Age. You're right. You're right.
Okay. Yeah.
Just being able to use the ring
hmm
however
Now,
you wanted.
would you? Would it be like Scribble Nuts where you punch in like a word and it automatically generates a pre-made asset for the, or would you be able to make your constructs like Spore, where you can make whatever you want?
I was thinking like various shapes that you could design, but maybe also have some type in stuff. But mostly like you would kind of point and click while you're developing it.
Mm. All right, all right.
You could like make something capture and just have like a few hot and buttons on your controller
Uh, like the giant
for
fist
like
and the baseball bat.
yeah, like if you wanted to use that, you would
hmm
have your hot buttons, and then if you wanted to switch it out, you'd have to go to the pause screen and
hmm
change out the hot buttons and yeah.
I got you. All right.
Okay.
So it'd be really what you thought of beforehand and applied it to whatever problem. So I mean, it's combat puzzle,
All right. All right. I like
Neat.
it. Yeah.
kind of like a 1950s setting.
All
All
right,
right.
guys. All right, so based on the time here, let's do a lightning round. Let's try to keep it under 5 minutes here for your second
Okay.
picks, okay?
All right. All right.
And I'll go first on this one here. I messaged some of you guys this earlier today. James, you were not one of them, but I loved Persona 5. And growing up, I loved the anime Neon Genesis Evangelion.
What do you mean
I,
growing up? You still do.
that's not inaccurate. um, so I'm thinking putting those two together and having it be the slice of life type stuff with Shinji developing relationships with his classmates, Misato, uh, the his father Gendo,
hmm
and but taking a little bit of influence from like the rebuild of Evangelion series and not going just solely on what's canon. So depending on the relationships you develop and the direction you kind of talk to people through, it would change what happens. Like who becomes the pilot of the Ava, who's actually an angel, who reaches self-actualization and is alive for the end times,
Huh.
things of that nature there.
Interesting. Okay.
Um,
Okay.
so you would have day-to-day stuff, going to school, hanging out after school, all that stuff. The combat, I would do kind of XCOM style because you have all these giant buildings that go up and down.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
So
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
and
You can
then
use
you could,
cover. Okay.
Yeah, and then you'd have the 3 Avas you can use, or 4, depending on if you're doing more of the rebuild of Evangelion,
Mhm. Mhm.
um, where you can then, you know, turn-based go around, but you have a limit on how many turns, keeping it within the 5 minutes that they have for battery charge.
Oh, interesting.
Mhm.
I like that. That'd be really cool. The only thing I would throw in there would, I don't know if I'd have you play as Shinji. I would maybe have you play as like a candidate for pilot, and
Mm,
you have,
yeah.
like a rookie, which is a great way to, go from the outside in. Kind of like Ghostbusters, the video game, which was basically the third movie, but you
Pretty
Mhm.
played
much.
as the rookie, and but you saw everything happen. And I'm just wondering if that might be, an interesting concept.
Yeah, yeah, I could definitely see that. Kinda like, how, Kamala, from Avengers was the new one.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Hmm.
Yeah.
That would be, yeah.
I could definitely see that, and just how you interact with Shinji, with Asuka, with Rei, just
Hmm.
how that could change the course of things.
Interesting.
And Atlas and Pete has definitely shown that they can do risque with Catherine,
Yes, yes, they
Yeah.
can. Hmm.
um, but they've also shown that they can handle deep moral choices, but make it fun and lighthearted with Persona.
Yeah, yeah,
So
that's
I
good.
that's where I'm at with that one.
All right. No, that's a good one. I really like that. Okay, I guess we'll continue going in the same order. I can go. Okay, my second idea. Now, I have a clarification to go with this. However, um, while I love the Metroid Prime series, I would love to see a really well done third person Metroid game that wasn't 2D. I mean 3D.
Hmm.
I know Other M is a whole bag of worms. While I personally enjoyed it, I know I am in the minority with that opinion. There were parts I enjoyed, there were parts I didn't enjoy, but I know I'm the minority. What I would love to see, though, for a third person 3D Metroid game, though, I would have loved to have seen it done in the style or done by Crystal Dynamics, but in the style when they did the previous Tomb Raider trilogy, not the one that Rise, Tomb Raider, Rise of the Tomb Raider, Shadow of the Tomb. I'm talking about the one before it. I mean, Legends, Anniversary, and Underworld. I
Okay.
felt that
Okay.
style would have been perfectly translated for a 3D Metroid game because there was a lot more gunplay involved with that, but still having all of like the 3D vertical traversal. But one of the other big things that was a big component in those games was lock on, and blasting your guns, perfectly adaptable for locking on and blasting with the power blaster. Also having a grappling hook, like a magnetic kind of
Hmm.
grapple hook that could also be used as a lasso, perfectly adaptable for Samus's grapple beam. And you know I would love to see kind of that kind of exploration and environment traversal mixed in with Metroid traversal as well. So you get the segments with the morph ball and all of that other kind of thing. And then also they've shown that they can do like these really big boss fights with that system, because there were times where she's fighting mythological creatures or even dinosaurs. So that could easily be applied to some like a fight with Ridley or Kraid. So that's what I felt would have been a great bring to it. I don't know if I wouldn't have it done in the style that they have it in now, but I felt that trilogy previously was a bit more. I think you've coined the term arcadey, Tyler,
Hmm.
and I think that would have been more appropriate for a 3D Metroid game, third person.
So you had mentioned that before, and I was thinking about it here. I want to
Hmm.
ask you about a different development team to see what your thoughts on would be for this for Metroid. What if you had the developers of Bayonetta make a Bayonetta style Metroid game?
My only concern with Platinum Games, even though I love them, there's not. I wouldn't say there's a whole lot of exploring in them. They're really good at getting that combat down,
Mhm.
and yeah, that
Yeah.
it's fantastical. But I don't know how well I've ever seen them do like
I think.
an adventure style game.
Fair enough.
So, yeah.
And if they did it, Samus's boots would have blasters in them.
I mean, I think they did when Bayonetta had the Samus suit in the Bayonetta remake for the Switch.
Yes, yes, they did. I bought the Star Fox costume instead.
Sure you did.
I did. Her guns were all R wings, and they had a little keychain. Each one was a Star Fox member: Fox, Falco, Slippy, and Peppy.
Nice.
All right, Chris, did you have a round two?
Yeah, I'm just kind of coming up with it, admittedly. So let's go. Yeah, my first one was really well thought out. I had a prop and everything. But
Yeah.
yeah, what about let's take one of the most like a very video gamey type movie, Pacific Rim, and make it into a video game.
Ooh.
And what if the team who made it, let's just go all out, make it super weird. Let's make it the Near team, the Near Automata team that makes the game.
Wow. Wow.
You
Oh,
have my
wow.
support.
Yeah, and my attention.
Play that game, right?
Oh, yeah. And there were times, when you took over like a larger mech and it was like a giant mech and a giant mech fight. Oh,
Yeah.
that would be cool. I think it's only been adapted into like a poorly received fighter, like the Godzilla fighters that they had.
Mhm.
It's, re-
Okay.
it's
Yeah.
is it really a fighter or is it a brawler?
Yeah.
But that could be fun. That would be a lot of fun, actually. If you were to do it, I would make sure you had to have all of the Jaegers in it, like each one.
Mm-hmm.
James.
All right. In the text chain earlier, which I saw your text earlier, Tyler. But my joke was the Jerry's Game sequel done by the people who did Raid Shadow Legends. If only just to see them be like the balloons and have all tons of YouTubers being like, I'm popping the balloons. But in seriousness, maybe Untitled Goose Game, the people that did that,
Uh-huh.
do a Karen type lady in an airport.
Oh,
Let's call
Untitled Karen game.
there you go. Exactly.
Untitled Karen game.
Yeah.
that is
Wow.
fantastic.
Oh my gosh.
Ever wanted to feel what it's like to be a Karen?
Your only dialogue options are I'd like to speak to the manager.
Oh, what's the actress's name?
And
You
just
should get.
Atlanta
Uh,
airport,
I forget her
all the
name.
different shops.
oh God.
Uh,
Mask for COVID? How dare you?
You
What do
should
you
get
mean you're
Jessica
not
Walters to be the
step on?
voice.
Who?
Jessica Walters, the mom from Arrested Development and from Archer.
Oh
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Oh, lovely. Oh, I love it.
That's
Oh,
awesome.
okay. House,
All right.
get on that. You can have that one for free. Untitled Karen Simulator.
All right. And James, I want to jump off of your first joke one there, the Jerry's app 2. I want that to be
Mhm.
made by Kojima Productions.
Oh, nice.
Wow. That would certainly be something.
celebrity appearances,
Yep.
Monster
all kinds of
Energy.
crazy stuff happening.
All the
Uh,
Monster Energy.
no idea what's actually going on in the plot.
You have to fit Norman Reedus in somehow, right?
Oh yeah, and
Oh.
Guillermo del Toro, Mads Mikkelsen.
Norman Reedus would play
The
Morty.
red balloons.
It's from the reality where Morty is actually Norman Reedus.
There we go.
Infinite realities,
Hey.
infinite possibilities.
Exactly.
right.
All right, guys. Well, before we wrap up this week, because we're a little over an hour here, I had three
Alright.
topic ideas for next week, and I want to run them by you guys and see which one you want to do next week. Okay.
Okay.
So the first one, there is a website. Well, let me press this. We're not really sports people, right? We're not big in, say for
No.
Go Team Sports.
Hey,
Roller derby.
2019, I was second in March Madness by going what is referred to as chalk, where I just took the standings. Whatever number was higher, I picked that. So no, I'm not really a sports person.
Okay.
I just
They-
used math.
There is a website that is a fantasy developer team game system where it takes all the games that are expected to come out this year and you recruit them as games you've developed, and you are scored based off of their Metacritic score.
Yep.
So, like any points above 70 is points for you, any amount below 70 is points against you, and you have to draft them like you would like a fantasy football league.
Yeah, but and if I recall, like it excludes like remakes and remasters, so it's
That is correct.
There's you're just going based on the hype, right? Basically,
Exactly.
At that point. What you think it's gonna do.
And then you gotta guess big, because say you guessed Breath of the Wild 2. Is that actually coming out this year, or did you just waste a big pick?
I mean, do we know what Nintendo's doing this year at all?
So that brings me to my second idea for next week. It's been over a year since a proper Nintendo Direct. Not a mini, not a partnership, like a proper Nintendo Direct.
Wow, it has been that long. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What would your dream Nintendo Direct be if one came out within a week? What would be a realistic, like, brain explode Direct? What would you want to see? And then the third topic might be the most fun one. What is the most controversial gaming opinions you have?
I picked
Mm.
that one.
All right.
I picked that one. We'll lose all 5 of our subscribers with that one, but it'll be worth it.
All right. I just want a temperature check here. No one's most controversial opinion is Donkey Kong 64 is better than Banjo Kazooie, right?
No, I'd
No.
say they're both lovely games, but
Joking.
I liked them both. I'm kind of they're about equal in my eyes.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So I would. It doesn't matter what we do,
Mhm.
personally, but I'd be curious to see how the fantasy thing would do. It'd be give us some another times in the year where we could check in and see how we're doing and talk about it.
From a more long-term kind of thing. Like we could have we did this for the draft, and then go to our main topic.
Yeah. Tell you what, I'll put a draft like page together, and we can figure out a time to do the draft.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm
That
gonna
won't necessarily.
suck at this.
Well, here's what's great, Dave, is
I mean-
the site actually has like what games you can choose from and what the current expected hype levels are.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm still gonna suck at that.
I'm-
I have no concept of how fantasy football stuff works.
So
Oh.
think less about fantasy football.
I
Think
didn't
more
either,
like
and I was in a team one time.
think more of this like this. How well do you think games that have said that are coming out are going to do? Like, how well do you think Horizon Zero Dawn is going to do? How well do you
Yeah.
think Resident Evil 8 is
So
going to do? And
right.
more
So
specifically, how are critics going to view it?
yeah, it's pretty nerdy actually. So I assume this is like how Kind of Funny did it, right, Tyler?
That is where I got the inspiration. Thank you, kind of funny.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is essentially you're looking for games that are going to score a 70 or above on Metacritic, and I think it's actually OpenCritic that they use,
It is,
but this
yes.
basically it's the same thing. And then really what you really want is anything above a 90, because then you get extra points. So you're really looking for the biggest games of the year that are going to score well, right?
Hmm.
Okay.
Be
Okay.
well critically received,
Yes.
Exactly.
specifically.
Mm.
Which is
Doesn't that matter
they're not.
about sales?
Exactly, exactly. So
Hmm.
we're really guessing on, what are the critics gonna say, right?
Right. So, like most things Nintendo are going to be gold, but
Mm.
what's on
Not
Nintendo's docket
always.
right now? I
Yeah.
said most. I said most.
Yep.
The
I
hard part with Nintendo is gonna be the fact that we just have no idea, right?
Yep.
They
Hmm.
they, they could be we could actually get a Breath of the Wild 2 this year, or it comes out next year, or the
Hmm.
year after that. I have no idea.
The two
Yep.
are related. They wait until it's done most of the time.
Hmm.
Mhm. Or
Right.
Sony announced God of War 2.
I
Mm.
don't think God of War Ragnarok comes out this year, but if it does, it's going to be a good game. I don't think it's going to score below a 70 on Metacritic. All it has to
Two
do
rounds of
is
the picks do we
continue
get?
this.
Mhm.
All the God of War games have been pretty good. It's just, there haven't been any real misses, just ones that weren't as good as the others. Like
The
Ghost of
only
Sparta.
misses was probably
Ascension. That's what I'd
Ascension.
say.
God
Such-
of War Ascension is the true miss, I think, and that's
Would you
what
count
led to the
the
reboot.
Would you count the PSP games?
I like the PSP games.
Yeah, so did I. Yeah. I mean, and I didn't dislike Ascension. It just wasn't as good.
hmm They needed to breathe new life into the series. They did
Hmm.
what they needed to do, right, and make
Yeah.
Kratos an actual likable character.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
All right.
Ugh.
So, our topic next week, if anyone wants to write in, be it on YouTube, we are on Google Podcasts officially now. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on Stitcher. So, several places there to get a hold of us. Leave us a comment, leave us a like, all those things. If we get enough of those things, we can get sponsors.
Yay!
All right. Any last comments from you guys before we close out for the day? Anything
Help
you
us
want to
get
plug?
sponsors because this isn't just a shoestring budget product podcast. That would imply we had the shoestring.
This is accurate. This is accurate. All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining me tonight. It's always been a pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
Likewise.
Yep. And then everyone at home, thank you. Be safe, be kind, bottoms up.